The Enigma of KV55 and the Amarna Dynasty. We now turn our focus from the exploration of life sciences to the shadowed realm of royal burials and dynastic drama, a sphere where faith, politics, and authority entwined in ways that still perplex modern scholars. Hidden in the Valley of the Kings rests a burial unlike any other, modest in form, yet staggering in implication. Tomb KV55. Its narrow corridors and plain, undecorated walls appear ordinary at first glance. Yet the discoveries within sparked more than a century of debate, speculation, and controversy. Unearthed in 1907, KV55 seemed almost insignificant compared to the grand monuments of pharaohs nearby. However, it held a cache of objects and human remains that instantly tied it to the turbulent Amarna era. Inside were gilded shrines, fragments of funerary equipment, and one mysterious skeleton. Many of the items bore the names of Akhenaten, the radical pharaoh who upended Egyptian religion, and those of his close kin, raising urgent questions about identity, dynasty, and the fate of a royal line whose reforms left echoes for generations. The skeleton at the core of KV55 has been examined for nearly a century. Some argue it belongs to Akhenaten himself. Others suggest Smenkhare, his elusive co-ruler or successor, or perhaps another Amarna royal entirely. Forensic analysis provided intriguing but inconclusive clues. The remains indicate a middle-aged male, but their anomalies, an elongated skull, fused vertebrae, and signs of disease, have fueled theories ranging from congenital disorders to ritual modifications carried out in life or after death. DNA testing has sought to clarify bloodlines, linking KV55 to Tutankhamun and the Amarna family. Yet contradictions persist, leaving the identity shrouded in mystery. The accompanying artifacts only intensify the puzzle. A damaged, gilded shrine bears inscriptions praising Aten, the solar disk revered under Akhenaten's religious revolution. Other objects seem to belong either earlier or later than the Amarna period, suggesting reuse, reburial, or perhaps deliberate concealment. How did such a mix of items end up together in KV55? Was it a hurried reinterment in times of upheaval? A burial meant to obscure the memory of a disgraced ruler? Or a carefully curated preservation of lineage in uncertain days? KV55 also embodies the artistic and spiritual tensions of the Amarna age. The distinctive artistic style, elongated features, expressive faces, and striking departures from Egyptian tradition resonates faintly in the skeletal remains themselves. This has led to speculation. Did the art mirror medical reality, or did cultural ideals reshape how the royal body was perceived? Could Akhenaten's controversial reforms, both religious and artistic, have extended to the handling of his remains, with features altered intentionally in death to project uniqueness or divine favor? The wider historical backdrop thickens the intrigue. Akhenaten's reign shattered centuries of tradition, raising Aten above the pantheon of old gods and relocating Egypt's capital to Akhetaten, modern Amarna. After his death, the old cults were restored and Akhenaten's memory systematically erased. Within this volatile climate, the fate of KV55's occupant and the mingling of artifacts within may reflect both reverence and political necessity. Was the tomb a compromise, honoring a ruler while suppressing his identity? Or was it a simple expedient during dynastic chaos? Even KV55's architecture provokes speculation. Unlike the lavish, decorated tombs of kings, KV55 is cramped, functional, and plain. Was this due to hurried conditions of burial during turmoil? Or was it intentional, a tomb meant to hide rather than glorify? The stark contrast between its modest design and the precious artifacts it held has captivated archaeologists for generations, highlighting the entanglement of secrecy, ritual, and power. Alongside scholarly research, fringe theories have flourished. Some propose KV55 holds evidence of broken lines of succession, hidden rivalries, or manipulation of history itself. Others imagine it as part of a larger network of Amarna burials linked by symbolic geography or ritual purpose, still not fully understood. Though speculative, these ideas reveal the tomb's enduring magnetism, a place where evidence and enigma coexist, and every discovery breeds further questions. The human story at the center deepens the mystery. Forensic findings suggest disease, trauma, and other conditions, but the narrative remains incomplete. Was this individual a victim of political violence, ritualized treatment, or rare illness? Were the grave goods meant to honor him, or to disguise his lineage? Modern science continues to probe these questions, but no definitive answers have yet emerged. Ultimately, KV55 is more than a resting place. It is a record of upheaval, transformation, and contested memory. Each fragment, each inscription, and each relic whispers of a dynasty that sought to redefine the divine order, only to see its legacy fractured and obscured. As we peer into KV55's narrow passageways, past broken shrines and silent bones, we confront questions that refuse resolution. Who truly rests within? What story does his life and death tell about the Amarna age? And how did this extraordinary period of religious and political revolution shape the preservation or deliberate concealment of royal memory? At the crossroads of archaeology, history, and enduring mystery, KV55 continues to challenge our understanding, compelling us to reconsider the lives, choices, and secrets of a civilization whose echoes still intrigue, puzzle, and inspire us today. The Turin Papyrus Chronicle and Forgotten Rulers. From the sprawling corridors of tombs to the star-painted ceilings of Ramesses VI, our focus shifts to a far more delicate and puzzling remnant of Egypt's history, the Turin Papyrus King List. Unlike colossal temples or golden treasures, this artifact survives on fragile sheets of papyrus, its surface cracked and broken. Yet within its faded ink lies one of the most intriguing records of Egyptian kingship. Now preserved in the Egyptian Museum of Turin, Italy, the document once stretched nearly 2 meters long, though much has been torn away or lost. The surviving fragments display vertical lines of hieroglyphs, carefully drawn by scribes to register names of rulers, dynasties, and the lengths of their reigns, a chronology spanning centuries. At first glance, it seems like a straightforward catalog of kings. But on closer inspection, mysteries emerge that have puzzled Egyptologists for generations. The papyrus is incomplete. Its edges are ragged, entire sections are gone, and in several places the writing is smudged or erased. Certain reigns appear missing, and dynasties known from other records are conspicuously absent. These gaps raise haunting questions. Were some rulers intentionally erased from memory, victims of political struggles, dynastic disputes, or religious hostility? Or were the scribes themselves working with fragmented traditions, oral accounts, or damaged archives? Despite its reputation as a meticulous register, the Turin Papyrus reminds us that history is rarely whole. Even the Egyptians, famed for their exacting record-keeping, struggled with the uncertainties of their own past. Its creation during the reign of Ramesses II of the 19th dynasty adds another layer of complexity. Compiled centuries after many of the kings it documents, the list appears designed not only to trace succession, but also to strengthen the legitimacy of the current dynasty by establishing an unbroken lineage. Yet the scribes did not ignore inconvenient reigns. They acknowledged short-lived monarchs, questionable rulers, and periods of chaos, leaving a remarkable, and sometimes uncomfortable, record of dynastic instability. The most tantalizing puzzles arise from the so-called missing dynasties, rulers who appear nowhere else in Egyptian sources. Their names spark endless speculation. Were they local chiefs whose authority never extended far? Ephemeral rulers erased from stone monuments? Or simply scribal errors passed down through centuries of copying? In several places, the missing names align with known episodes of invasion, civil war, or division, suggesting that the omissions may encode both history and interpretation, choices made by the compilers themselves. This leads to deeper questions. What rules guided their selection? Did political motives outweigh accuracy? Or was the aim less about precision and more about shaping memory to serve the present? Even the papyrus's physical qualities add to its intrigue. Written in hieratic script, the handwriting is neat but not flawless. Corrections and errors show it was a working record rather than a ceremonial text. Variations in ink suggest more than one scribe or later revisions. Do these inconsistencies reflect competing traditions? Attempts to reconcile contradictory evidence? Or the natural imperfections of human record-keeping? The document's fragility mirrors the fragility of memory itself. As much as it preserves, it also obscures, leaving empty spaces where time or politics erase the past. Beyond its direct content, the Turin list has sweeping implications. It stretches Egypt's chronology back before the Old Kingdom, hinting at rulers whose existence is confirmed only by scattered archaeology, later inscriptions, or occasional artifacts. Some scholars see in these names the vestiges of Egypt before unification, a patchwork of Nile chieftains vying for power. Others argue that certain entries may represent legendary or semi-divine figures, where myth and history blur. In this sense, the papyrus is both archive and mythos, capturing not just events, but how Egyptians themselves understood their origins. The gaps have also inspired bold speculation. Fringe theories suggest that the erased dynasties may conceal rulers with forbidden knowledge, radical beliefs, or links to power that later pharaohs wanted forgotten. Though unproven, such ideas highlight the tension between what the papyrus preserves and what it leaves out. Its silences are as provocative as its names, reminding us that absence often speaks louder than presence in reconstructing the past. The Turin list also forces reflection on ancient methods of record-keeping. How did scribes assemble such a long chronology without printing, archives, or standardized references? Likely they drew from temple libraries, oral tradition, older lists, and monumental inscriptions. But even with diligence, the process was prone to error, loss, and reinterpretation. In this way, the papyrus is a monument not only to Egyptian skill, but also to the limitations of human memory. Every column of faded signs reflects hours of scribal labor, each figure a king once considered worthy of remembrance. Yet for every preserved name, another has vanished. For every reign noted, another lies forgotten in silence. Thus, the Turin Papyrus is both treasure and void, a bridge between what we know and what has slipped beyond recovery. As we imagine the ancient scribes bent over fragile sheets, carefully inscribing lengths of reigns, deeper questions surface. How many kings remain unknown, erased by time, politics, or deliberate omission? What truths might have been intentionally hidden, and which simply dissolved into oblivion? And what do these gaps teach us about power, memory, and the way history is written? Fragile yet enduring, the Turin King list whispers across the centuries. Its mysteries remain alive, reminding us that history is never whole, but always shaped by what is remembered, by what is lost, and by what ancient voices chose to conceal.